Stuart Skinner obviously was just out here. Your decision to go with him and what you've liked from him so far this season.
You know what? He's been solid. He's put lots of work in. He's every day you look at him, he looks like an NHL goalie. And Mikko's played a lot lately. We're just looking to change it up. And he played well in the third period the other night, so we'll give him the start here tonight. But he's, his whole demeanor, playing in the NHL, carrying himself like an NHL player, practicing like an NHL player, and now he needs an opportunity to play like an NHL player, and we'll continue to give him those opportunities. So excited for that.
6 games in a row, you've allowed the first goal. You talk a lot about you don't like chasing the game. What is that? Is it unlucky? You thought your team maybe hasn't been as prepared as you'd like early on.
There's different. There's been some breakdowns. There's been the goal the other night you'd like to have back. I mean, there's different things that we're looking at, and that's an area where even though you give up the first goal, you got a lot of time left, but it sets a tone for where the game's going to go. And we've been able to come back from a little bit, but it's an area that you'd like to get out and get going. When you're chasing the game, especially when you get down multiple goals, you got to open up. You do things that aren't the most conducive to playing a good, strong team game. When you're in a tight game, everybody's doing their job. You're finding ways to make sure the game goes along, and you find a way to win rather than chasing the game. And that's any team when you're chasing, you just look like a different team, and that's been us, too many times lately.
And the Jets, they like to play up in your face. That's their style. They go after McDavid and Draisaitl, and those two gave it right back. Do you need to see the rest of your team elevate and maybe match the intensity of the Jets?
There's some areas of our game that can improve that way for sure. Just competitiveness. The other night, I didn't think we had a lot of juice in our team right all the way through. I don't know, it's the last game of the road trip or whatever it was, but we got down early and we didn't feel like I didn't feel like we were as engaged in the game as much as we should have been. We get a couple power play goals in the third to try to put a little push on, but for the most part, wasn't near at the level we need to be.
With that in mind, Dave, sorry, right here in the middle. With that in mind, I mean, I don't know if it plays into it or not, but obviously you had the playoff result against them that you did, and then you say maybe you didn't have enough of what you were looking for in that game. Should there be more in this matchup against Winnipeg because of the history?
Well, you got to take in all the factors in it. Like, you want to say, should there be more when you're dragging around 9 days on the road and you're coming in there and it's, you could tell there was low energy coming into the game. So I said to the coaches in the morning skate, I said, I'm a little worried about it. You can tell when your team has energy. This morning our team had energy after a day off, getting home. The other day you could tell our team was dragging, and that's just a feel you have going into it. And you don't tell the players that, but you know exactly what's going on. So I expect us to have a lot more energy tonight. And in the regular season, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You got to find a way to muster up that energy you need to win every night.
So when it comes to this matchup against Winnipeg, at even strength, is there something you'd like to see more out of your group, kind of at even strength that wasn't there? Or?
Well, Winnipeg changed their whole game last year. I think we'd beat them a few times in a row. There was a game in there that I think we'd won 5 or 6-1 or 2 or something. They've changed their whole game since then. They've gone to a very safe, controlled game. They put pucks in. They don't take chances. There's not a lot of lateral plays. And they make you earn everything you get. And the other night, we gave up 2 goals early. You get chasing the game, you got to take some chances. Now, it's going to be a tight game. It's a low-event, tight game. And if you open up or if you have breakdowns or you end up chasing the game looks different. So they've played a different game since late in the season last year to now, and that's the change in what you see in the series between us.
Dave, I'm glad you brought that up because I was meaning to ask you about kind of circumstance. And, everyone talked about the Jets playing well against you last game. You guys were at the end of a long road trip. They were at the end of a long homestand. You mentioned your team's energy levels today. I'm wondering, because usually they also say if you start a road trip, you always kind of start on a high a bit. How much can you kind of turn aside any of that fatigue from a long road trip in 24 hours?
It's all mental. It's all mental. And it depends on how the road trip went. It depends on how many games you played near the end of it. There's so many factors that come into it that, but you get home and you could, especially with the day off yesterday, just a whole day away, you could tell our guys had some juice this morning. Now, does that translate into playing well and winning? We'll find out. But there's just, you get a sense of your team every day, whether you're on the road, whether you're home, you get a sense of where they're at. And I felt like our team had some spirit this morning, so hopefully that translates into good results.
A little off topic, but Winnipeg's seen a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois kind of emerge into that power forward centerman. They obviously have Mark Scheifele, Adam Lowry. They kind of have the depth that you have down the middle, and I'm wondering what it does for a coach or a team to have that position. We all know the importance of center, to have that depth, what it does for a club.
Every coach in the league will tell you the same thing. They want depth at center. I mean, that's a key position, so every coach will tell you the same thing. Yeah, he had yesterday was dealing with some concussion symptoms. He hasn't been diagnosed with a concussion yet. He's doing some testing today, so we'll evaluate. But they didn't want to. They want to do some more tests today, so he's unavailable tonight.
And what do you want to see more of from your third line that was there obviously early in the season?
Well, early in the year, they were a tenacious line, taking pucks to the net, getting in hard, and Cass got hurt, came back. They've been getting scored on some goals against that really aren't their making, but they're getting scored against, so they feel like they're on their heels a little bit. They got to get back on their toes, have an impact on the game.
Thank you.